Zone 2 isn't wrong, but the way the internet talks about it is. And if you train like it's a rule instead of a tool, you're probably leaving fitness on the table. Testing. My last Zone 2 video got a lot of attention and a lot of disagreement. Honestly, that's fair, because the real answer to Zone 2 isn't yes or no, it depends. I'm an endurance coach, sports performance enthusiast, and an endurance racer. And today we're not arguing whether Zone 2 is right or wrong. We're cutting through the noise to clarify when it matters, why it matters, and for who it matters. First, we need to agree on what Zone 2 even is. Most Zone 2 arguments aren't actually about physiology. They're about definition. And when I say Zone 2, I'm talking about the work around or just below your first lactate or ventilatory threshold, LT1 or VT1, that 2 millimoles of lactate in your blood. That point where breathing starts to change, but you're still primarily aerobic. You know, that energy source is still primarily fat. And here's where people get tripped up. Different zone models place Zone 2 in different spots. Some people use a 3-zone model, others use a 5-zone model, and some even use a 7-zone model. But the reality of it is the zones are all built around those specific threshold points. We just call them and break them into different chunks. So two athletes can argue online loudly and still believe the exact same thing physiologically. They're just using different labels. Once we clear that up, a lot of noise disappears. Now, some things about Zone 2 still hold true, and probably always will. Low intensity aerobic work is foundationally necessary for endurance. Most athletes train their easy days too hard. Consistency over time matters more than perfect execution, and aerobic fitness supports durability, efficiency, and long-term progression across the course of your career. But if you want to ride strong late in races and not just feel good early, Zone 2 also plays a role. There's no debate there. But this is where things start to get a little oversimplified. Zone 2 is not just one fixed intensity. Your heart rate, power, RPE, and breathing all can disagree, especially day to day. Fatigue shift zones, heat shift zones, stress and sleep even shift those zones, those minutiae in between those day-to-day fluctuations. Lab testing is great. I use it, I value it, but most athletes train in the real world, and pretending there's one perfect way to find Zone 2 just isn't helpful for them. And this matters because Zone 2 is not automatically the best use of limited training time. That's where the gray area actually starts to matter. The biggest difference between professionals and amateurs isn't discipline, it's not hard work, it's not how much they care, it's the constraints. Pros have already maxed out their high intensity ceiling. The only place they can add training really is that low load intensity, that Zone 2 work, because it's easy to recover from. Amateurs are different. You know, if you train 3 to 5 hours per week, your Zone 2 allocation should look very different than someone training 10 to 15 hours a week. We also have to remember that your training age matters, your event demands matter, time until your race matters, and whether or not you're in base phase, build phase, or survival mode with life things matters. So it's all contextually dependent. This is why asking how much Zone 2 should I do is the wrong question. The better question is, what problem am I trying to solve right now? Are you building an aerobic base? Are you trying to increase durability? Are you supporting high intensity work because that's the phase you're in? Or are you just trying to stay consistent during a stressful season of life where you're hoping to get a workout or a bike ride in a couple times a week? Zone 2 is a dial, not a switch. You can turn it up or down based on your goals, the time you have, your stress, not the internet's certainty. And quite frankly, this is where a lot of myths need to die. Zone 2 is not the only training that matters. Elite athletes don't only train Zone 2, and easy riding or easy training doesn't mean unproductive. And you do not need a lab test to do Zone 2 correctly. And if you miss Zone 2 on a workout, the workout isn't wasted. If training were that fragile, none of us would even get any better. So here's my updated coaching philosophy or perspective. Zone 2 isn't magic. It's not a one-size-fits-all, and it shouldn't be the only ingredient in your training. But for the right athlete, at the right time, with the right goal, it's incredibly powerful. So when in doubt, be consistent first, then specific, and then let that specificity come from your needs, not online noise. If this helps you clarify things, let me know how you're currently using Zone 2 training. Drop your weekly hours, your race goals, and comments or questions below. I really do read them. And as always, train like it matters.